Hey, how's it going? So today I want to talk about a Netflix. Sorry, I'll be normal again in a second. Well, I'll be in the normal position, a normal position, something normal. Today I want to talk about the Netflix original limited series that came out in 2019 or 2020, depending on where you search. I know I saw it in 2019, and it's called Messiah. Here at the top of my lovely sign are my YouTube disclaimers, and then as I bring it up so you can see more of the sign, you will see information about the cast that's in Messiah. So, I wanted to, as I said, I saw this in 2019, um, and I wanted to talk about it right away, but I felt like it just wasn't the right time. There were things going on that I felt like would give whatever I have to say about this more context or more dimension. Uh, because what it's about is obviously a Messiah type. A young man. Oh, okay. So, in case you didn't see that, there will be spoilers. Just expect them. So, here I go about to spoil. In the story, a young man appears, and he, where he appears is in a scene of apparent conflict between like armed militants, military guys, something people soldier like with arms. They're in the Middle East, um, and there's a bunch of just like people. Uh, you don't know who they are at first, and they're being prevented from going somewhere, and they want to go somewhere, and there's yelling, and there's obviously like there's some kind of conflict happening, and a solitary person just comes walking up and sort of takes a position where he's above everyone else and starts basically preaching. And he is, I didn't bring it over here, but oh, I can pause it. I have some information that I need to grab. Hold on. Hi. Okay, well, even though I always sit in the same place and only have two things where I thought I put what I was looking for where it is, and that was what I expected to find, I did not find what I was looking for. That happens all the time. It's like there's a vortex where I sit, and I put stuff in the same place all the time so I don't lose it, and stuff just turns up missing all the time. There's little pixies or pranksters hanging around, just moving stuff to make me a little nutsy. Anyway, what I was looking for was going to help me talk about this better, and I don't want to take the trouble of looking it up again, so I will just have to do my best. So, the conflict is happening, right? And this guy shows up and he's standing something on something where he's up above everyone else, and he starts basically preaching. So, what I was looking for was the um, Arabic Arabic equivalent of things that we have in the Bible, like gospel and verses and parables. I can't find what I looked up. Like there's corresponding names for basically the same thing in the Quran. So I just wanted to, talk about this. The way it's playing out in the story, like it's in the Middle East. I want to call it the right thing and be a little respectful. So couldn't find them. Couldn't find those notes. Anyway, the reason why I wanted him was just to say that this guy starts preaching and he's basically saying nothing really controversial. I mean, the kind of thing that you could find with Confucius or Buddha or something. Nothing to raise the ire of the anti-Muslim people, like in my country that would be watching America, by the way, USA, and the people start paying attention to him and turning away from the soldiers, and also the soldiers are noticing this guy, and no one knows who he is, and he- he's gaining more and more of the people's attention. But while they're sort of paying attention to him, there is a sandstorm coming. Okay, uh, I forget where they were. The people in this scene that I'm talking about, I think it may have been Syria or Turkey. But anyway, there's sandstorms where they are, and you can see this like tsunami of golden dust coming that's like bigger than the buildings. Like it's like the people are this big, and the wave of sand is this big. It's crazy, I guess. It's not a big deal to them. Although once the people in this crowd noticed it coming, they kind of like freaked out. So I mean, obviously, it's something to be taken very seriously. And the thing about it is the guy that just walks up and starts preaching that nobody knows who he is doesn't move away or stop talking he's just like engulfed by this wall of dirt basically. And it is, you know, kind of miraculous looking, but you don't know. I don't know how long those things last, the sandstorms, but eventually it ends, of course, and then the people come out, creeping out, kind of like warily, and the guy is still there in the same place, just picks up talking again. So obviously that's looked upon as miraculous, and then what he's saying appeals to their sensibilities of what they're experiencing at the time. And what they are experiencing actually is that they are sort of a whole group of like a crowd, a battalion of all these homeless like migrant Palestinians, and they're Palestinian, Syrian Palestinian or Turkish. I think it was Syrian, but anyway, they had left that country and were migrating to uh, Palestine, which meant they had to go through Israel, which becomes a big part of the story because they have to stop there. And as they're making their journey, this guy who they end up calling the guy who just like spoke through the sandstorm, they end up calling him Al Nasi, which is Arabic for Messiah. And it's funny, well, it's not funny, but it's interesting that he just walks up, starts saying what he's saying, and people just start gathering around him. He's not like going around going, come with me, follow. That's not happening. People are just attracted to him and following him and wanting to listen to him speak. Does that sound familiar at all? So he gets the eye of the Israeli intelligence agencies like our CIA and such secret spy stuff. And like the national police of Israel or the army, or I'm not sure what they're. I'm sure they have graduated levels of you know law enforcement just like we do here in the US. So there's a guy that's part of the police force apparently, but he does like black ops work for them. I guess though, if you think about Israel, they kind of do have like a heightened sense of self-preservation. And I don't need to explain that whole dynamic with Israel and the world. But anyway, these people are sort of, I mean, I think they were already headed somewhere and he just kind of joined them, this Al Masih. And he catches the eyes of the authorities, of course, because, he does things that are unexpected and places himself in danger as if, you know, he doesn't care that he's being threatened or that he may die. He's just like, yeah, if it happens, it happens. He doesn't say that, but he just kind of does stuff. And the thing about it is people, this is what I want to get to, is people put um, they just overlay their own impressions of what they feel like, their biases and their expectations, and like, well, in my mind he's this to me, so because he's this, this will happen to me, or something will go this way in my life because, I mean, we do this, I think, all the time. We people in real life on this side of the screen, we have relationships with people, and it doesn't matter even what kind, you name it. Like, whenever any of us interact with another, we look at them and we make judgments, and we have like, uh, what is the word they always say about we have like institutional, like, we don't have a clue about the other people. We just think that, oh, they're different, they speak a language I don't, they are a color I'm not, their hair looks different and wrong from mine, or whatever the thing is, the negativity. Or, they might have good impressions, but that's generally not the case in these situations, and it's certainly not the, well, I mean, it kind of is in this one, because the people that follow him, he walks up with nothing. They got like whatever was on their backs, and they got to eat and they got to drink, and it's kind of like the Jews in the Bible story, following the Ark of the Covenant around until it's like safe to stop. But the Ark provides for them. This guy, he's got nothing. But he brings them to the place, and water comes to them, food comes to them, and they could like say, "Oh, this happened because of Al Masih," but he really didn't do anything. And then, like I said, the authorities, he catches their attention, and then by the authorities, I mean Israel and America too, because we're so like deeply enmeshed in each other's business that, of course, we have our people all over there. And so, there's a whole bunch of other characters, and they are actually, the cast is kind of massive. I didn't even put, I think I put a third of the cast on there. I don't remember all of the stuff that they have listed. I didn't have room for all of the stuff they have listed. Otherwise, you would not have been able to read if you could. I mean, I think you could read what I wrote if I held it still long enough, or if you pause it, you can read it. But if I would have put everybody, there would have been no white left on the board. So one of the other characters is Michelle Monaghan plays this, uh, what's her name, Eva Geller. She's a CIA, I guess, operative, and looks like she's got some pretty big pull. She's kind of a messed up person. She's got someone that is like her, sort of not opposite, but um, person just like her in the Israeli organization. Like I said, it's weird because this guy I thought was in the police force, but he does some very police force not things they do, I think, and not that are like really publicly spoken of, rendition-y kind of things. And the American agent is just like, she does not want to believe this guy is good. She thinks he's just up to no good. He's evil. He's bad. So she has to do a lot of searching, but she does find some background on him, and he's not at all what. I mean, I don't know what would have been expecting. I think, just letting it happen. But in the context of the movie, everybody's like really freaked out. Like, who is he? Where's he come from? He hasn't given a name. They ask him for a name. They ask his followers for a name, and he's never given anybody a name. He doesn't really. People ascribe all these things to him, like calling him Messiah. It started out because he just stood through the sandstorm. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's something you can do. It doesn't make sense from what I've read about him, but anyway, it was in the script, so whatever with that, I guess. Um, But so many people, like I said, the American agent, she's mad. She has to find out all about him. So she finally gets information about him. He looks, I mean, like he looks like a Middle Easterner. I couldn't say for sure but because he kept looking very familiar to me, and I finally realized who he looked like, and it's are you serious? Aziz. Oh, hold on a second. Aziz Ansari, the comedian. He's like darker and he has short hair, but especially around the eyes, you if you know who Aziz Ansari is, then you'll see the resemblance that the actor Mehdi Debi, who plays Al Masih, shares. They share this resemblance, and yeah, that kind of was like distracting me throughout the whole thing. And I've watched it now 3 times. I watched it 2 more times since I come back to it, like whatever, a year, 2 years later, just to refresh my memory. But um, the guy gets used as a vehicle for like everybody's hateful everything, or they of course want to take advantage of him at some point. And here was what I thought was very unusual. The story takes the guy who basically says, I just go where God leads me, which is also reminiscent of someone else that a lot of people in the world may be familiar with. Uh, but he ends up in the United States, and he doesn't seem to have any motivation himself to go there. Like, he has no reason that's visible to be there except for what happens when he's there. And it's kind of like, uh, I don't know, some kind of like packing foam peanut just loose on the ocean, getting tossed around, going here, there, wherever the current's taking it, and just going with it, not objecting, not resisting. And things just always seem to go his way, you know. He does have a background that makes all of the intelligence agencies suspicious, which is that he's trained in um, magic, how to do illusions, and he's, I guess, really good at it. But he does one thing that could be considered illusionist, and how he could have had it set up, I don't know how they do that. I don't know the mechanics behind like walking on water or floating or any of that magician stuff you see these days. I read something, or read or saw a video on YouTube or something several years ago. Actually, this is funny. Well, it's funny to me. When I saw this, I was like sort of online hanging out with a bunch of Q people. So I was getting, not getting access to, like, it wasn't like I had to do anything special, but it was like a lot of different stuff was coming through my time feed, uh, like following back and forth with those people. Time feed? Timeline. Anyway, so this article was, or interview or whatever it was, it's, I've watched and read so many things on YouTube or off YouTube online, just whatever. It's so hard to keep track of what was a video or what I read. So I just, this piece was talking about illusionists and how they're able to do things like, you know, put something sharp all the way through their hand or something like that, like right in front of you, and then it just heals up magically. And their contention was that these like miraculous tricks were, they got these abilities in the same way that Robert Johnson, the blues guitarist, was rumored to have gotten his skills like overnight by meeting the devil at some crossroads and promising his soul for the skills. So this piece was saying that that's what these guys are doing, he showed, or the whatever, there was an announcer, so I guess I saw a video, and they showed videos of like these young people, like really young illusionists, like still in their teens, like I don't even know if 18, like really young looking, but I looked really young for a long time, so it's hard to say. They were young though, but that in these videos they were like mocking Jesus, which if that's your cup of tea, do that. I'm not saying one way or the other about Jesus personally, but they were going, "Oh yeah, we can do this. Like we don't need no Jesus miracles," and just like weird things like that. So they apparently believe they got their skills from the devil. They pretty much, a couple of them fully just came out and said, "Yeah, I made a bargain with the devil so I could do this." So I don't know what else you would bargain with. Traditionally, it's your soul. So okay, let me come back from that. If it's not like devil generated, you got to have some kind of infrastructure to have something set up to, do David Copperfield shit or David Blaine or any of these guys, you know, that are doing things that are miraculous looking, like walking on water and floating and stuff like that. Uh, but in the context of the movie, I would think that if it's not devil generated, then you have to have some sort of infrastructure set up. This guy, they didn't show anything like that. He didn't appear to have jack really, like ever. Um, so that was just they just let it lay. They never like confirm or deny, what was going on with that. But I mean, for the viewer, but inside the context of the film or the show with the characters, they're like, that can't be real. That can't be real. But things kept happening. You didn't see the guy do anything, the Almasi. You didn't see him do anything to like make stuff happen. They didn't show a lot of stuff. Like they didn't show how his miraculous jailbreak happened. So it's just left to the viewer to decide, like, is he magic or is he Jesus, or Messiah or whatever. But he comes to America, and people, just like I said, he's attractive. He's like a magnet in their iron filings. They just cling on to the guy. He ends up with a whole procession following him. And then the religious figures come into the story, and he like displeases one or both of them. And so the one who's already, you already know he's got a worm eating his brain before Almasi even shows up. He's already about to do some really squirrely shit. And then he, of course, is in this, well, not of course, but he ends up in this caravan, like leading it, driving Almasi. And Almasi does something that makes this character Felix, who's a preacher and has his own church, a Christian church in Texas. Later on in the story with them two, Felix goes, like I said, he was already doing squirrely stuff before Almasi arrived. But by the time Almasi leaves his life, he's like doing some, just, I don't know. I mean, it's like he needed help as a man of God because he was doing exactly not the opposite of God stuff, like all the time. And just a human guy, though. I mean, that's what we do. But he tried to use him for like fame and fortune. And I mean, the first time I saw it, I said, "There's no way this guy's gonna go for that." There's nothing to indicate. In fact, there's everything to indicate that he would not go for that. Would not, submit to being a golden calf, basically. A golden idol. That's, I don't know if that story's in the Quran. And then that guy, it turns out well, I don't know if he practiced any religion. I know he was raised Jewish. He was born Jewish, but also Iranian. So, yeah, he had a lot going on and well educated, and he just was an intriguing figure in the movie and to this viewer as well. But my favorite thing was he just like let people go, like go ahead and think whatever you're gonna think, because I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do, and then if you have, you know, if there's something that you're offering me that I feel I want or is of benefit to me, then I'll go along with that. But I didn't see him begging for anything. I think it was like he was just this avatar for everybody to put their stuff on, and he just walked around like he knew it, and it's like, okay, well, if that's my function, then that's my function. And then, by the end of it, you're completely like, which is it? Or at least I was. Um, I'm gonna go with he was kind of magical because that's just my nature. I think that kind of thing is cool. So, and why can't he have all of the other things and be a man too? Like, I hate to keep bringing up Jesus, because I'm not a holy roller, but I was raised Catholic, so I know some stuff. Um, but the character was doing very Jesus things, like, I don't know. If you're watching this or Messiah, you're probably an adult person, so you have some grip on what I'm talking about, some grip on it, right? Um, Sorry, my nose is itching. Um, yeah, so it was just like a very interesting character study, I guess you could say, of Elmasee or Payam, which was, I guess, his given name, and the American characters and the evangelist, who, which is who I would just on my own have thought the evangelist Edmund, played by Obo Bridges, I would have thought would be like the totally avaricistic, horrible, like user machine. And I guess that's what he wanted to happen, the character wanted to happen. But Felix seems so much worse, like so much more deranged. I feel like a lot of what played out in this. Oh, the Texas part. That's right. I was about to try to wrap up. Don't do that. You're not done. Okay, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, oh, that's right. I was gonna say I don't know who wrote this, but I do know who wrote this. Right? I don't know who it is. I looked them up. Oh wait, I take it back. I'm thinking of a different thing. I don't know who's responsible for this, but um, I just thought it was very interesting that this particular guy would show up in Texas and have this kind of effect on people, and like no, like KKK dudes or just like take your pick of brown people hater. There's a grand selection in Texas, I think, or the South in general. But I just thought it was. I mean, it was an unbelievable story in many ways, but it was the thing that was most unbelievable is that the guy got to be in Texas and not once did he get harassed or have a bad word hurled his way, like from a racist. Like other people, yes, but there nobody came at him with a sand nigger or Muslim whatever negative. Like that was just bizarre. It was just like, well, this is true fantasy right here. And I understand that he was supposed to be like this magical messianic guy, but have you been to Texas? Like I don't think somebody would have had something to say. Somebody would have stood up and said, "I object to this wedding." Okay, now I can finish. So yeah, I waited a long time to do this, and I kept wanting to and feeling like I was ready to, because I have to feel like I'm going to do it. I have to be in the right state of mind. I was going to do it a couple of days ago when I did my last video, and I was like all energetic and ready to go, and I wrote the script for the first one and got it filmed and started writing the script for this one and just ran out of steam. And then for the next couple of days, I just wasn't in the right mood, but Today I heard it's time in my little head. Little voice in my head said it's time. So here I am. I finished my script, lost my notes, but um, it was just an instructive kind of look at things because a lot of what was happening in there, like everything I talk about on there, I found parallels with what we are living through now and what we have been living through. Although it did not have the pandemic element, so but lots of other stuff I've been watching has had, well, they're not new in reality. We know they come in cycles. We know they're going to be coming. We were just unprepared for this, and every sense of the, I mean that in every sense of the words. Word. Yeah, word. Unprepared is one word. All right. Now I'm just getting silly. So, I think that it's worth watching if you're interested in any of these themes. Just how things like that work out, other than the way they are working out with us right now. Just another way to look at things. I don't know. Thank you and good night.